A, we love math, A, we love math, A. Every time we divide, we already know the path, A. Then we multiply, all we gotta do is roll the die, A.
Hey guys, let's go over 1.51, solving a quadratic equation with rational roots. Alright, let's go ahead and do this with me, this problem right here. And before we do that, I want you guys to make sure that if you have something like x squared minus 49 equals 0, and you add 49 to both sides, you have x squared equals 49. Now, there's actually two ways to do that problem. What could you fit in there for x that will equal 49? Well, it is a negative 7 and a positive 7. So what am I trying to show you? If you're trying to solve this, x squared equals 49, we've talked about how you take the square root, but when you take the square root of a radical equation, over here you must have a plus or minus. The 2's right there, and so like this cancels, this goes away, so you're just left with x equals the square root of 49 is plus or minus 7. Again, that just basically means a positive 7 and a negative 7, so two solutions. Okay, I want to make sure you knew that square root property. Okay, here's the problem I want you guys to do. X squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 25. And now what I want you to notice in this problem is that there is a way of factoring. Which side do you think we can factor? Well, if you said the left side, that is correct. Let's go ahead and factor this. So you have a times c, which is 1 times 4 is 4. Your b value is negative 4. And those two numbers that multiply are going to be negative 2 and negative 2. So again, that is the middle term, so that'll be negative 2x. That one always goes in the top left, and the positive, the constant, or the c value will always go in the bottom right. And we'll get x minus 2 minus 2. So this really becomes x minus 2, x minus 2. Or we can simply write that as x minus 2 squared. Okay, I want to point out that there is nothing in front of this or behind this, so we call that this is now isolated. It is now isolated. What does that mean? Basically it means now we can use the square root property. To get rid of that power of 2, I'm going ahead and take the square root. Okay, remember there's a 2 here, so this is gone, and the square root is gone. And you're going to be left with just they call this the argument, x minus 2. And we talked about how now you're going to have a plus or minus here. And then the square root of 25 is 5. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you this algebraically, and then I'll show you what it would look like if you decided to split it at plus 5 and minus 5. Actually, let's split it now. Let's split. Split! Okay, so I have x minus 2 equals a positive 5, and x minus 2 equals a negative 5. Do you see how the plus and minus now are split there? Okay, so let's just solve this. You add 2 to both sides, you'll have x equals 7, and x equals negative 3. So let's review what we did here. We let's use a different color here. Number 1, we factored, and I'm going to write PST, perfect square trinomial, because that basically means I guess you just factor, and then this line and next line are perfect square trinomials, right? Parentheses, and then you have quantity 2, and then we took the square root, and then we did split, and then we solved. Okay? All right, so we've completed that one. Number 2, for questions 1 to 6, complete 3. So complete 3 of these problems. So skip, I need to change that. Skip 3 problems. Solve each equation by using the square root method. All right, let's do the same thing over here. We're going to factor the on the left, so a times c remember a is 1, c is 81, my b value is negative 18, and so my two values I'm going to pick are negative 9 and negative 9. It's going to split those two. Always write this one in the front. This one goes in the back. So basically we're just factoring the left side. You can basically leave the 49 on that side out there. To factor this one, I'm going to get an x, negative 9, x, and negative 9. So you're going to get x minus 9, x minus 9. And we can write that now as a perfect square trinomial. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is take the square root. And remember there's a 2 right there, the index, so these will cancel. You're going to be left with x minus 9, and square root of 49 is 7. Can you pause and think about what is the mistake here? The square root property of plus and minus. Now you could do something like this, add 9, you would put it right here. So I have x equals 9 plus or minus 7. And basically you have 9 plus 7, which is 16, and 9 minus 7, which is positive 2. So that is another way of kind of completing the problem there at the end. Question number 2, let's go ahead and do the same thing here. I'm going to factor the left side. So remember a is 1, so a times c is 100. My b value is 20. Two identical numbers. So give you a hint, the perfect square trinomials will always be the same number in red there. Will always be that as you're doing these completing the square problems. So the 10x will go in the bottom left and top right, always. That 1x squared, you could put it right here, always in the top left. And then the c value will always go into the bottom right. Let's go ahead and factor that out now. Greatest common factor there is an x. Greatest common factor is a positive 10. Going up, they have an x in common and a 10. So to factor that, they'll become x plus 10 equals 64, or we can write this as a perfect square trinomial, which basically means we have 2 of those. Okay, it is now isolated, so now you can do the square root property. This 2, and the radical are gone, and you're going to be left with x plus 10. Don't forget the plus or minus. And the square root of 64 is 8. Two identical numbers that multiply by 64 are 8 and 8. You can subtract 10, and now you can split them to have 2 equations. Really, your 2 equations are this: x plus 10 equals 8, and x plus 10 equals 8. But remember, one of those must be positive, and one of those is negative. So if you did write negative 10 plus or minus 8, that would just be subtracting 10. X equals a negative 2, and x equals a negative 18 is our answer. So I have these two in yellow right there. All right, question number 3. Let's go ahead and factor the left side here. So this side is going to become A is 9, B is negative 12, and C is 4. So A times C is going to be 36. My B value is going to be negative 12. Remember, a good strategy is writing out all your factors. So 36 and 1, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and 6 and 6. Did you notice I write the bigger number on the left side? So that would be a combination of this one, negative 6 and negative 6. And remember, you are splitting this right there. So negative 6 and negative 6. So I want to show you really what you're doing. 9x squared minus, because you can write that in red, negative 6x minus 6x plus 4. Do you see why it's split there in red? And basically what I have those 4 terms on the left side of the green line is basically what I'm writing into this green box. We are doing something called factoring by grouping. Okay, so this one will always go here. And the C term will always go down here. So let's go ahead and factor this out now. Going this direction, I have a 3x minus 2. 3x is what they have in common, and minus 2. Remember, you can always multiply 3x times equals 9x squared to check your answer. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x, and negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. So 3x minus 2, 3x minus 2. And remember, you put those together, that's the point of us doing this, is to get a perfect square trinomial. Basically, we want the power of 2. And the reason why we want this is so that we can now take the square root of both sides. And put a 2 there so that you know this 2, 2, and the radical sign are gone. I'm putting that plus or minus, we don't want to forget. So you're just left with 3x minus 2 equals 4. And remember, if you're kind of stuck, should I divide it by 3 or add 2, you can always use PEMDAS backwards. You start down here if you're solving. So we'll add 2. Now again, if this is confusing to you right here, you can just split them. Split. What does that mean? So 3x minus 2 equals 4. Magic. So 1 is plus and 1 is minus. Does that make sense? And here, let's just go ahead and solve this. So if I add 2, positive 4 and positive 2 is 6. And then if I divide by 3 on both sides, x equals 2 is one of my solutions. Do the same thing over here. I'm going to add 2. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2, and then divided by 3, x equals negative 2/3. And those are my 2 solutions. Let's move on to question number 4 here. All right, let's go ahead and factor. It's my A, B, and C. So A times C is going to be 4. My B value is also going to be 4, so that number is going to be what? 2 and 2. Splitting this middle term, so that's 2x and 2x. Where do those 2x's go? Go ahead and place your finger there. It should go here and here always. 4x squared will always go here, and this positive 1 will always go here. Now we need to take the greatest common factor. So going in this direction, this top row here has a 2x in common. Now if you think they have nothing in common, the answer is what? 1. Going in this direction, 2x. In this direction, positive 1. So we'll have 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1, and we can write that as a quantity of 2 or multiplicity of 2. Let's take the square root now on both sides. This 2, and the radical sign are gone. We're left with 2x plus 1, and the square root of 16 is 4. But don't forget the plus or minus. Remember, you can always split this if you get stuck here. 2x plus 1 equals a positive 4, and 2x plus 1 equals a negative 4. Let's go ahead and solve this. We're going to subtract 1. 2x equals 3. Divided by 2 on both sides, we're going to get x equals 3/2, or 1.5. Well, that goes away, right? On this side, subtract 1. 2x equals a negative 5. Divided by 2, because it's the opposite, x equals negative 5/2. And number 5. We're starting to get some really big numbers here. A, B, and C. Okay, so A times C is going to be 198. And the B value is negative 28. And we did this in our warm-up. The red numbers will always be identical. You can almost think of it as half. We can kind of predict that, right? Negative 14 times negative 14 is positive 198. And negative 14 plus negative 14 equals a negative 28x. So there it is. Add those two together, you get the red one we circled. This will always go here. C value always go here, and then you'll always have that 64 on the left side, or the constant. Let's go ahead and get our greatest common factor in this row. 2x, negative 7, going this direction, going up. The greatest common factor there is 2x, and going up is minus 7. So now I have 2x minus 7. 2x minus 7 is how we factored this. And now I have 2x minus 7 squared, which shows I have two of those expressions. This is now isolated, so we can go ahead and take the square root. I like to put that 2 there to show you that these cancel. So we're left with 2x minus 7 equals 8. Okay, remember you're asked to split now, so if you're like, what am I splitting? You should always have, that's why I'm trying to draw this in different colors if you haven't noticed, is the plus and minus. So we have one positive 8, and one is negative 8. Do some magic. Boom. Boom. So add 7, divided by 2, you get 15/2, so we're 7.5. And then over here, add 7, get negative 1. Divided by 2, you get x equals negative 1/2. Something I'm very happy about is we don't have to check our answers. You could if you needed to. Okay, let's get this last one in there. Give us some challenge here. Some big numbers. Whoops, that's a C. A times C is, I'm going to guess 144. Yeah, not guess, I know. B equals 24. And remember, just take this number and divide it by 2 for now. And do I need to change it to negative? I don't. So that is, add those two together, you get 24x. 12x, 12x. 16x squared. And the 9 will always go here. This direction, 4x. This direction, plus 3. And again, if you're not sure what the greatest common factor is, you could just guess a number to multiply. Let me show you. 4x times something equals 16x squared. Well, that would have to be 4x, because 4x and 3 give you 12x. You see that? 4x times something equals 12x, that would be a plus 3. And 3 times 3 will give you a 9. So 4x plus 3, 4x plus 3. Let's put those together. So power of 2, the index, and the radical are gone. 4x plus 3 equals, square root of 81 is 9 with our plus or minus. So one is positive 9, one is negative 9. Here are my two equations. 4x plus 3 equals positive 9, and 4x plus 3 equals a negative 9. Subtract 3. Divided by 4. You're going to have 2 times 3, 2 times 2. So x equals 3 halves. Does that make sense? You would not leave it 6/4, you would leave it 3 halves. This side, do the same thing. 4x equals negative 12. X equals negative 3. Okay? So remember, the big idea we're doing here is, so you don't forget, we're solving quadratics. And x equals negative 3 would be this one. Blue would be 3 halves or 1.5. And I'll show you guys one more. My graph's wrong, but my C value is 9, which means the graph should have, how's that possible? I don't know, but that should have been your y-intercept of a positive 9. But that's solving 1.51. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Remember not to write all your math papers in ink. Remember to show all your work if you don't want to see. Remember to test, stay, and prepare for it wholly. Because if you don't, then you'll perform poorly.